Lord. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any more posts from me. Let's get straight into this video. Girl, I'm over here trying to get it together. Next thing I know, my motherfucking hand over here slipping, bitch. Let me get it together. Forgive me, y'all. All right, so with that being said, you already know what video we're going to be doing for today. But however, I do have a special guest. This particular person, we have collaborated before. And I was just like, I haven't collaborated with him in a while. And I was like, I'm just gonna contact him. Just so happened he was free, and next thing I know, we were able to collaborate. And who else would I have here to talk about this subject besides Conscious? So with that being said, let's bring my special guest up. What's going on, Beach?
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, what's going on with you? Alrighty, so introduce yourself. Let the people know where they can find you, see you.
So my name is McCully. I have worked with Reckless for it's been years now, right? Yeah, it's been a while. So if you guys want to find me, I have a music channel. I'm up on Vivo, Apple Music. You just type in McCully, I'm there. I also have a YouTube channel called Mickey Reacts, where I react to your favorite albums. We did one with Beyonce. I got one with Billie Eilish coming up. I got some Nicki Minaj reactions coming up. We have a lot of great things coming up. So if you guys like all things music, I am definitely your girl. Period.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Alrighty. So with that being said, you guys already know what video we're gonna get into. I may possibly drop the link. I'm pretty sure I probably will, just in case someone wants to come up. But I think we're gonna get kind of crazy with this particular matter. All right, so with that being said, I'm just gonna give you guys a little rundown of what the hell we're gonna be talking about, because by the title of the video, you guys already know. So with that being said, we will be talking about the Kandi Speak on It with Benzino. Now, this particular interview was an hour and 25 minutes. So just so you know, I was rushing kind of through it here and there, but until we got to the juicy parts. But however, what I will say is that basically the two main topics they kind of talked about for the most part was Coi Leray and his children and Shauna Brooks. We already know why we're here. This is called a spade. But so the interview starts off. First thing before I even get started, what were your thoughts for the whole interview? Like, what were your initial thoughts exactly?
Shout out to Kandi. Shout out to Kandi. And I think overall, I think that we as the queer community, I think we just need to start making better decisions on who we decide to be with romantically or intimately, because I feel like what happens is we tend to get with men who look like Benzino. Well, I'm not, because Benzino. Well, we won't go there. You have people who would go with a guy like Benzino when Benzino is not. I feel like if I was a trans woman, right? Benzino is not going to be that type of person that is going to publicly say that he's attracted to me. He's not going to publicly say he loves me. He's not going to give you that affection and that type of relationship that you as a trans woman or a gay man deserve. So I think watching this made me really realize a lot of us have to be very choosy before we choose certain type of men, because I'm very big on I'm a very big believer of you going after somebody that goes after you. You know what I'm saying? You have plenty of people you have plenty of men who love trans women for simply who they are, because what happens is we get with men like Benzino. And do I think he was digging Shauna? Absolutely. But I think it's like one of those things where once it got to the public, it's so easy for them to revert back to the, oh no, that wasn't me. This wasn't a lie. I never met her. The trans community's tricking people. It's so easy for them to do that because they know they have a large scale of people who will believe them. They have a large scale of people who are always going to have their back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
That makes more sense.
So we just need to do better.
Well,
I'm gonna get to that later.
Oh yeah, trust me. I already know you about to go crazy. That's why I wanted anybody else. Just I got you here because I know you're gonna go crazy.
Okay.
All right. So with that being said, I'm not gonna lie. I really did like the interview. What I will say is that I like Kandi as an interviewer. Now I really loved her as an interviewer because not only does she write people there, she actually provides pushback. I would say she actually asks the questions. Well, at least in this particular video, she actually asks the questions that people want to know. And she also has the response of, okay, you said this, but however, you said this, how does this make sense? She actually challenges them. And it was kind of interesting to see Benzino's mouth and his mind kind of go in circles because he was over there defending like I don't know what. And he was a bit aggressive, but that's a whole different other conversation. But what I will say, what I did learn from it, and I'm gonna start with some of the good things. Two things I did learn from the interview, besides the Coyle Ray and Shauna Brooks. I didn't know that Benzino actually had a crab shack. I believe it was a crab shack, his own restaurant.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
I had no clue. That he owned his own crab shack. And from what I heard, people was really loving it. He had his own food. You know, it was really good. People gave good reviews on it. But he said that he did end up losing it or something happened with it. Don't quote me on it. Only because he got indicted and all the different type of things. Now that was a good thing because I was like, okay, he's smart. As everybody knows, when you are in the public's eye, you always want to have a backup plan just in case stuff doesn't work out. I was here for it. Yes, ma'am. But then another thing that I found out too is that he actually was one of the founding members of the Source magazine and the Source Awards. So for those who don't know, that's like a black magazine and like a black award show. Like it's really good for the culture. And I had no clue about that. Y'all blame it on me being young. being young, I had no clue about that. So it was real interesting to see that he actually get I would say a piece of his resume because I knew that he rapped, but I didn't know he did all the other stuff. So it was real interesting. Now let's get into the nitty gritty, into the core of things. Now I will say this. I'm gonna start with this children and Coyle Ray. Thing I did notice that when he began to talk about his children and stuff, Benzino felt like him as a father. He started to get real emotional, and he felt like he was a good father. Now, even though he may not have done everything perfect, he may not have, been the person as in like, oh, okay, I'm a perfect example, but he felt like he did everything that was necessary for his children to come out right. Now, he did talk about his controversy with his daughter, Coyle Ray. Are you aware of what's going on between them or what? Mm-hmm. Okay, so explain exactly from your perspective what's going on between Coyle Ray and Benzino. Exactly.
I feel like it's one of those things where there were moments of her growing up that you missed, and it might have been unconsciously. I understand you're a loving hip hop star, so I'm sure you're pretty busy. And versus Coyle Ray, who was on the come up, and there were a lot of moments where she felt like you were absent. Do you have women and baby mamas who tell their kids things to make them hate their fathers? Absolutely. So I don't know their full story, but there is clearly some type of resentment that Coyle Ray has. And when I felt like when you could have just came to her as a grown man, because you were the same person on this interview talking about I'm 56, I'm 56, I'm 56. Okay, you're 56 and can't just have a grown conversation off camera with your daughter. And it's coming to the thing. And then even like the situation where they were cool, they did have things going on. There's things that Coyle Ray has done that was great, and he messes it up. Like, we didn't even know that Coyle Ray and Nicki Minaj had a song together. Benzino was the one on the interview. Oh, my daughter got a song with Nicki out. And it's like, you ruined them, because a lot of people don't know this, but Nicki took the song back at first. She was like, the song is done because what are you doing? And
I know that.
Yeah, in this moment, he also made fun of her album sales because apparently it only did 11K first week. Like he said a lot of things, and it's just like, you keep talking about you're 56, but you're 56 on social media. trying to be so invested in your daughter's celebrity life, and then you keep trying to make it this thing of like, well, we could have done this together. I'm a hip hop OG, she a new person in the game, and this might be a hard pill to swallow, but I don't think Coi Leray looks at you like a hip hop inspiration. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying that as a different perspective. She might.
Just in case, bitch, because I can't confirm none of that, bitch.
But she allegedly. But it's one of those things where you can't make. I think this legacy that you're trying to have with you and Coi Leray, I don't think she wants that with you. I think she just wants a father to be a father, and I think that's what he's not understanding.
You see, actually, I didn't know all of that. As in, like the song and making fun of the sales and stuff. Okay, so you actually brought a lot of insight. Now, I will say in the interview, he did mention and talked about how he has attempted to talk to her, but however, she has not been receptive to him actually speaking. Now, let me take this down, because girl, it's not. Now I'm talking to something that I know. So okay, so he said that she wasn't receptive to speaking with him. Now, I did like a point that you did say, because there's something I actually caught as well, is that when he did begin to talk about him actually being in his children's lives, he was very emotional and saying that he, even though he wasn't the greatest example, he felt like he did the thing that was necessary for them to be on the right path. But however, what I will say is that if you paid attention, even when Kandi was giving pushback to him, you could, at least I caught, it was different perspectives of being there or being present in your children's life. Like every single time he talked, he was like, oh, I provided, I cooked, I did this, I did that. But however, whenever Kandi began to actually give a little, I guess, kind of push the conversation a little bit further, get a little bit deeper with the conversation, she was saying stuff as in, were you there, as in like, were you there as in spending quality time? Were you there not only just to be the provider, not only there just to, say hi, how you doing? Like, were you actually spending quality time? And so I think that's the big mix up when it comes down to certain parents. I think because a lot of times certain parents may think that they only provide or they only do the survival skills or provide or only do like the things that help kids survive, that they felt like they were only good parents. But however, what are you feeding your child physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally? That also is an aspect as well. So that was really interesting to me, like when they actually said it, because it actually showed the different perspectives. I'm gonna say now, once again, warning: if this does not apply, let it fly. So I would say generally the difference between moms and dads, for the most part, because I believe, because with the way that we're socialized as men, for the fathers, I'm provided, I did this, I did that. But with the mothers, I fed you, I checked up on you, I did your homework, we spent quality time. So I think that's it was really interesting to really point that out. Now, Benzino also said that he felt like people had even though Kandi initially said it, but he felt like people had a vendetta against him, as the people in the media. Reason being is because he said that certain stories that us as the public starting to see now, he felt those stories actually happened in the past. I would say like a couple of years ago or like a long time ago, but however, it's being brought up now. What are your thoughts on that when he actually said that exactly? Okay, first, do you actually believe that's the case for this?
The whole Shauna situation, me personally, no.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna say this, and I swear to God, I'm not saying this in a shady way. I'm saying this as a 25-year-old who's very big on social media. Nobody's trying, when you think of trying to use somebody for clout, you're not thinking of a Benzino.
Oh Lord.
And I mean that in the most. That's no shade. I don't think. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people are thinking clout. Benzino. Like, no shade.
Hold up. I gotta put this up. I'm gonna have to put a whole bunch of symbols and stuff up fucking with you, bitch, because this is not gonna go well for me, bitch.
It's no shade.
I gotta put this up because every time you talk, I'm going every single time you talk, I'm gonna put that up because girl, you not finna get me caught up. Not for that. I'm not gonna lie.
But it's like I'm gonna rephrase my statement. Do I think Benzino is a prominent figure in hip hop? Sure, yeah. Do I think people
define prominent?
Like Source Magazine.
Oh, okay. Has impact.
Yeah, like we know Benzino, yeah. We know Benzino. Like I grew up on Love and Hip Hop. Yeah, like we know Benzino. For me, and again, this is coming from a 25-year-old. I just don't think people would necessarily go to him for the clout or attention.
Okay, I believe that's fair. At least a fair assumption, judgment when it comes down to it. Because I personally don't think like people be like, oh, I'm gonna go to. Well, then again, at the same time, if that was the case, Shauna, she has access to a lot of celebrities. So I'm going once again put that up there. Once again, he said that I didn't. All right, so yeah, so that's basically what he was talking about when it came down to the old stories. Now he did mention that. Let me put this down, girl. Now he did mention that Athea posted some text messages about the I guess accusations of the trans accusations. Let me say this. Now here's the thing that's very funny and very interesting to me, only because of the simple fact of when we get into these conversations about trans people and exposing and outing, they have so much smoke for the trans people. But however, one of the reasons why we're even talking about this is because of the simple fact of Athea posted those messages. Now, I will say, a lot of people didn't know about it. Now, I didn't know about it. But however, I found out through Shauna in the situation that was happening. I guess because Shauna is trans, so it kind of shocked people, that shock value thing. But what I will say is that when people was trying to get on Shauna for exposing, no one ever mentioned Athea and what she did, because she actually did it before Shauna. So I don't know. It was very interesting to me. So I have a question for you. So how do you feel about the exposing and outing of straight men or pansexual men?
I don't support it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Mm-hmm. I feel like at the end of the day, if we as people, I feel like everybody lives different lives. I feel like people are allowed to do whatever they want. I have no control over what people's lives, but I also feel that like we as queer people need to value ourselves more and not even put ourselves in positions to where we are dating people who are in the closet. And I tell all I have plenty of my trans girls. I have kikis with the trans girls all day, and they know. I tell them as soon as they say I met a guy. Is he accepting of trans people? How does he feel about trans people? Is he able to walk in the park with you? If you want a kiss, is he going to give you a kiss in public and be okay with it? If not, gotta go. Mm-hmm. Because it's one of those things where it's like, it shouldn't even have to get to the exposing and all of that if we start setting a standard from up front. Like, boys know, when it comes to dating me, I've had so many dudes slide in my DMs. I like you, but I'm in the closet and I'm not ready to. Gotta go. And even from a religious aspect, well, I'm a Christian and I'm big in the church and it's gonna take a lot for me. Gotta go. I'm too old. Like I'm too old for that. You know what I'm saying? You deserve to be with somebody who's gonna love you and who's gonna embrace you, because no tea, no shade. And I'm not gonna wake it up too much because I understand it's Sunday night. You do have
you're fine. Do what you need to do.
You have a lot of trans women who are so quick, and you have a few figures in the trans community, no shade, who love to shade. There's no shade. You have a lot of trans women in the trans community who love to shade us gays on some like, oh, well, all y'all do is walking around chasing trade, and all y'all doing is walking around doing this, that, and the third. But it's just like, but baby, why is it that every time when it comes to trans people being in the blogs, it's always about somebody being out of the closet or y'all exposing X, Y, and Z? I hate that that's the narrative being spent on. No, but that's some real stuff. Like, I hate that that's the narrative being spent on y'all, but it's one of those things where y'all got to take some accountability too, because I hear so many trans women. I was in the Twitter space maybe a few weeks ago, and it was, all y'all gay boys do is do this. Y'all the reason why this, that, and the third happens. Y'all the reason why X, Y, Z happens. But every time when it comes to the blogs with these straight people, the only person who seems to get the pickup headlines is the trans community. We deserve better than that, and y'all deserve better than that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, in order for us to be a community, we need to hold everybody in the community accountable. So the same way I'm going to tell my gay good sis, don't be out here chasing trade. Don't be out here being with them dudes who not going to love you and accept you. I'm going to tell the trans women the same thing. If he not going to claim you, he got to go. If he's not going to love you for who we are, got to go. If he has some unconscious transphobia and he still sees you as a man or as whatever that you don't prescribe as, he got to go. But in order for things like that, because like I've always said, because what happens is you out the trade, you out the straight boy who is trans attracted, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna lie, they're gonna retract, they're gonna call you something homophobic, or they're gonna call you something transphobic, and they're gonna go back to their straight community. And even though everything that you said was right, even though everything that you said was true, because they have a larger straight community to back them up, it's going to be easier for them to say, well, she lying or they lying. That's just an F word. That's just a T word. They lying. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we need to start being more choosy and stuff like that.
Okay. I can put this down now. Okay, so I'm gonna be using that the whole goddamn show. But okay, I will say I agree. But however, I think it's kind of easier said than done, because the simple fact of, yes, I understand, don't mess with the trade, don't mess with this, don't mess with that. But however, I believe, now I said this, Reckless Logic said this. I believe that the whole thing with messing with trade, DL men, I think that comes from a place of, because keep in mind too, mostly, not all, some, not all, I would say mostly all of us within the queer community, we grow up not having the resources when it comes to having questions, when we have sexual encounters. We end up growing up with self-hate, suicide. Like we want to hurt ourselves. Like we grow up with a lot of trauma and stuff. So I think a lot of times too, we lack self-love. Now, don't get me wrong. I recently, because wait, but don't, because I don't want them to conflate or misconstrue what I'm saying. I recently, as in a couple months ago, got out of the whole DL men trade phase. So I ain't no one to talk. But however, what I will say is that I think that sometimes we lack self-love, only because simple fact of but however, at the same time, for me personally, I can't get on somebody fully about, you got to mess with the trade. Now I'm mentioning it and I'm going to say take safety precautions. But I will say is that I think sometimes too, is that you have to mentally get there, be done with it. Like once, because I as many times I'm like, I'm done with the trade. Next thing I know, as soon as that nigga hit my phone, oh my god, I was doing all that.
With you. No, I am no angel. We have all had our moments. Listen, I done had some, but I think it's one of those things where it has to be a constant repetition. When it comes to things like that, it has to be something that you have to constantly remind yourself. And if you really want to wake it up, you go to trade for a good time. You don't go to trade to
build a relationship.
Yeah, when it comes, like, there's this thing on Twitter right now, and it's so funny, and it's going viral, and it says, y'all are too old to be chasing trade. Please go get you a butch queen like an adult. I'm like, girl, okay, like, it's like,
yeah.
you know, you trade this for a good time. You know, you didn't had a few drinks. You want a little company. You don't take trade to see your mama. You don't
You
take
want
trade
to?
to like, no, that's not trade.
This bitch said a company. Bitch, girl, I'm not forgetting that, bitch. I'm not forgetting that. I'm not
No
forgetting that.
shade.
But okay, so I do want to talk about the exposing out. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm kind of 50-50 with it. Oh my God, shocker. I'm going to say this. I'm going to tell you why. Reason being is because, for one, I'm going to start with the obvious. I don't support exposing as in me personally doing it. Make that clear. Reason being is because we all, for the most part, us in the queer community, we all have had a phase, for the most part, warning, if it does not apply, let it fly. For the most part, we've all went through a phase where we went through us being trade or fitting into gender roles or like, you know, not being 100% honest with ourselves and other people around us. For the most part. And it took it was a process for us to be able to get to a point where you can like do things, myself included. At one point in time, I couldn't even say I was gay at one point. Like I would choke up, like I couldn't get it out. But however, now I've gotten to a point mentally and physically where I can just say it. It doesn't really mess with my mind like that. People can either hurt themselves or hurt you. As in when dude got exposed, was about to get exposed by his ex-girlfriend for, keep in mind, ex-girlfriend, they weren't together, ex-girlfriend for being with another man, and she tried to threaten to expose them, and they murdered her.
Yeah,
like
I remember.
and the thing is that we have people to the point to thinking that they will go that far. They would rather be in jail for life, serving life for taking somebody's life, than to actually have people know the possible truth. Now that doesn't say. Now keep in mind that doesn't say too much about the people involved directly. It says more about the type of environment that we have created.
Agreed, because it boils down to this.
Mm-hmm.
If we loved one another and accepted people for who they are, and we embrace one another, there would be no closet, there would be no DL. But people, because I was outed in high school, and I remember, baby, there was this Instagram page, and they were exposing all these gay dudes, and I'm following, trying to see like what's going on. I'm in there to kiki.
You know the gag is it.
I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning from all these IG notifications, and everybody is like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, baby?" And when I got outed, that mindset was just like, I'm about to go kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those, not literally, but it's just
No.
But it's one of those things where had we just had a had we just had, had we just had a progressive and a comfortable environment for people to be themselves, there would be no closet to begin with. And that's why in a lot of ways, when people find out this person is gay or this person is trans, and you know, apparently it affected somebody, in a lot of ways, I don't feel bad, because a lot of times straight people do have to ask themselves, well, did I make my presence comfortable for people to be themselves? As a mother, was I, you know, you got parents who finding out when their kids is 30 years old that they're gay. It's like, but you have to ask yourself as a parent, well, did I make my kid comfortable enough to come out to me? You know, people have to start considering that.
Oh, girl. You did brought up some interesting points. But however, let me just finish this because I don't want to forget. Because girl, we go talk about this type of subject. We're going a whole rabbit hole. So I do want to say this. Now I'm gonna tell you the reason why I have no problem if somebody does. Now I already talked about if they do, and I don't support it. But I'm gonna tell you why I have no problem if someone does. Because I do believe at some point we're so quick to defend the trade. And keep in mind, this is something that I've seen. Mm-hmm. We're so quick to defend the trade and DL men, but we're also in the same breath, we'll be so quick to throw our trans brothers and sisters out to the wolves.
Agree.
So that's why, for me, I personally wouldn't do it, or at least I wouldn't think I wouldn't do it. Because, girl, whenever someone say I will never, that's putting the bad karma back into your life, and you put a verification code or something to happen so you can go and do the same thing you said you wasn't gonna do. So I don't think I would do that. But however, I just only because of the simple thing, I feel like we're so quick to be like, oh no, these DM men, but however, these T words, just derogatory terms and all the different types, like I see that a lot. So I'll be like, girl, whatever. But oh yes, okay. So with the expose and everything, so now Benzino, they start getting into the tea. So Benzino starts to get into how they met. So basically, long story short, in a nutshell, they basically met because they were both shooting a movie. Shauna had a part, Benzino had a part. Now he said that they never actually met in person or anything like that. He made that clear multiple times throughout this interview. Even though sometimes I felt like he was contradicting himself, but he made it clear multiple times without the interview. They never met in person. They just had a part. He was, he had no problem with her because he was being open-minded. He was changing from the past. Girl, he gave the whole spiel. But however, he said that he either he thought or that's how she got the number. Apparently, Shauna Brooks allegedly got his number from the director because he knew the director personally. And so initially they were talking about love and hip hop stuff, but then after some point, they started having conversations or whatever. Now, to his knowledge and to what he said, they only talked twice. I was like, okay. I said, come on, 2 times. All right, that's cool. But however, so with the video, whatever, how do you think about the video exactly? Actually, before you get into that, do you believe that like that was the case when it came down to the video, when it came down to them actually meeting?
In my opinion, do I think that's what happened? No. I do think that there were more conversations privately that took place because based off of, I'll say this, and I'm going to say this in a very PG version. This is not the first time that we have seen trans women out these men, and it's always the same thing. I don't even talk to her. I've only had a few encounters with her. I'm not going to say other public figures' names, but you do have a lot. I feel like it's the same story when it comes to trans women.
Say the name.
I'm going to pay it. But it's, it's a lot. I'm tired of this whole, every time when it comes to trans women, it's always, well, I've only had one conversation with them. We've only talked about X, Y, and Z and this, that, and it's just kind of like, why is it always the same thing?
Well, okay, so basically he denies meeting Shauna Brooks, and he denies everything that happened. One thing I did notice is that in his interview he was very defensive. Now I can, let me just be logical about it. I can understand why. Especially coming from, keep in mind who we're talking about. We're talking about Benzino, somebody that grew up in hip hop. He's melanated. He grew up in a melanated family. He comes from a background that doesn't accept any type of that gay stuff or any type of that trans stuff. And then on top of that, he has a reputation compared to his background from where he came from. And then on top of that, he feels like him not speaking on it makes him guilty. And then him speaking on it makes him guilty. So he'd rather speak on it. So I was like, logically, I get it. Now, I'm going to be honest. So when it came to the video, I will say this. I was kind of with Kandi on this. I said, I felt like, do I believe that they had actual sexual intercourse or sexual interactions? No, I don't believe that. But I do believe that from what the video sounded like, and I could be wrong, it sounded like a dude that's never done this before, but however, he was open-minded into trying it or at least exploring. Not saying that we would have gotten far, not anything like that, but however, exploring. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think that Shauna Brooks played any wrong, like that she did any wrong in this situation?
Besides the whole exposing situation about it, yes. Only because, and the only reason why I say that is because whether we want to admit it or not, it's things like that in my humble opinion, I feel like it's exposing situations like that pushes not only us as a community back, but I feel like what happens is you have trans youth, you have young trans men and women, and you have young gay men and women who at some point were thinking about coming out of the closet or thinking about coming out as trans and living their life. And when they see things that happen like this, it's almost like, oh, okay, well, let me just stay in the closet. Or, oh, okay, well, let me just not transition right now because I'm looking at the stuff with Shauna Brooks, or I'm looking at a situation like Sydney Starr, and it's becoming, I just rather not. You know what I'm saying? So I do think, besides that, I don't think she really did anything wrong, because at the end of the day, the same way Benzino is able to tell his truth, I feel like Shauna should be able to tell hers as well.
Okay. All right. So, thing I didn't notice is that when it came down to Benzino, yes, he was mad about Shauna, for the surface level. Yeah, yes, he was mad about Shauna making these accusations, allegedly saying that all these things happened. But however, if you actually pay attention to the interview, in my personal opinion, I felt like he was mostly doing everything because of the backlash, not because of what he fully thinks, or as in, this 100%, I felt like, in lack of better terms, he felt like people would think that it's the truth. I felt like it was the backlash that he was getting. And let's just call a spade a spade. When people come out as trans attracted, trans, queer attracted, the backlash that people get is something so crazy, which is why we have DL culture. This is why Malik
Yoba said he was alleged. Malik Yoba came out as trans attracted to women, and look how the Black community did him. They were so quick to call that man gay, and they were so quick to call him, oh, he's this and he's that, and baby, and if it don't apply, let it fly, like you always say. But a lot of people in the Black community was so quick to just be away with Malik Yoba and call this man gay and this, that, and the third, when he came out just freely and openly and said, I'm attracted to trans. Look how they did him.
Yeah, I do agree. Same thing happened with Reese. That's the guy that had was attracted to trans women, had a whole relationship. And keep in mind too, he was in a relationship with a trans woman, and he ended up fatally harming himself, because of course he had other issues going on, but however, people was clowning him. But okay, so throughout this interview, I'm gonna say personally that I felt like Benzino was like take that back. He was the straight activist, straight people's activist when it came down to being in this interview. And keep in mind too, he has done other interviews that I've seen clips and stuff of. I didn't get a chance to watch them. I don't think I am going to watch them, because I kind of got a lot from that interview, and it kind of confirmed all my thoughts. But what I will say is that he has gone on other interviews being a straight activist, and he's so hung up on this whole thing. Trans people need to disclose, and saying that trans people are tricky. And what were your thoughts? Because I was confused. And after you say something, I'm going to explain why I was confused.
I feel like, it's the commentary like that in that conversation. That's what was further proven to me that, like, okay, there must have been something a lot deeper level, because how do we go from, because you sit there and say, I knew that Shauna was a trans woman. I knew that prior to us having a conversation. So how do we go from that to a whole nother conversation about trans women need to start telling straight people who they're with, and straight women need to start saying right at the front line that they're trans. And baby, shout out to Kandi, because even Kandi was like, well, we not walking around up front saying we straight. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I think if I'm trying to pursue you sexually or romantically, you should disclose it? Yeah. But just right off the rip, first meeting you within the first 5 minutes, why? Like, and again, how do we go from, I knew Shauna was trans, I already knew that before us having a conversation, to now y'all trans women need to start coming out and start saying what y'all are before. So did you know or did you not?
I was confused, because he said in the interview, he was like, oh, I knew that Shauna was trans. Even Kandi said that Shauna has always, well, at least in the most recent year, has always said that she was trans, and saying that that she has, because here's the thing too, if you actually pay attention to how Kandi was speaking, you already know that Kandi know the T, as in saying that Shauna has, been with a lot of people. And then she said, allegedly, girl, I know she know the tea. But the thing is that you said that you knew that Shauna was trans. But however, you was being open-minded and you was like trying to engage in conversation only because you was open-minded and being respectful. Then on the other hand, you say that they need to disclose. We're trying to see where in the hell does that fit in the context of the conversation. I was confused, and at some point, I felt like he was using talking points. Well, probably subconsciously using talking points for all the transphobes and homophobes to get activated. Like I just felt like he was doing it. I was like,
that's what it was like, because he even got to talking about, God made you a man and God made you a woman. Like, how you gonna make this? And this is what gets me with some people in the Black community, and it's no tea, no shade. Oh, y'all love bringing up Christianity when it's a convenience, because it okay. Like, girl, it's like you literally through the interview, Benzino was the same person who was talking about he was selling drugs, he was gang banging, you got multiple baby mamas. God was nowhere in that conversation. But as soon as it comes to LGBT people, now it's, let me get the Bible, and God made you this, and God made you this. I'm sure God wanted you to go to school and do something. Oh, you know what? I'm not even gonna go. I'm sorry. But it's just one of those things where, like, I get so tired of, but they use those Christian God tactics because they know it's going to activate the Black people to, oh yeah, he's right, or he's going to use the well, I was tricked and things, because it's gonna activate Black people to, oh yeah, well, he's right, and I feel him, and this, and it's like, girl, what?
Okay, I can most definitely agree, because well, I will say it's gonna activate the homophobes and transphobes. I'm gonna say that. Right. But I'm gonna keep it context that we are having a Black conversation. Let me just say that too. Okay, so here's the thing: is that I'm gonna say this: do trans people need to disclose? Yes and no. Yes, because if you're going to be joining or being with a person sexually, then of course you need to let people know, only because of safety reasons, and people are all the way well, and they're socially programmed to look at trans people as less than human, which is dangerous. That's one. Two, I believe, now I said this, I believe trans people need to disclose in the beginning, but yet once you're kind of out of the sight of the other person. Reason being is because back in the past too, I used to have questions about trans people disclosing, what's the, why don't you just disclose? But keep in mind, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. If they disclose, they still getting beat up and murdered. But if they don't disclose, they still getting beat up and murdered. But however, I used to have that question as in, why don't you disclose? You should do it this, that, and third. But here's the thing. Hope Giselle made an interesting point. I believe it was Hope I heard this from. She said that she was in a mall or whatever with one of her friends, and a guy came up to her, and she didn't disclose that she was trans. She just said, okay, got the boy's number. He left, and then she was talking to her biological sis or whatever. And so she was talking to her, and the girl said, why don't you disclose that you're trans? And so her response was, were you going to help me if he was to punch me dead in my face right then and there?
Right.
So so that opened my eyes to the other aspect of the conversation, as in saying the trans people's safety is at risk, because even if that trans person, and keep in mind trans men as well, but mostly trans women, I would say, because for the most part, women don't really, to my knowledge, get physical when it comes to trans men. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, y'all, but I will say that it's for the safety of the trans person, because the thing is, the trans person can do everything right. It's all about this psychotic ass person on the other side that can take in what you said, evaluate what you said. Because here's the thing: they're not mad because you're trans. They're mad because they were actually attracted to you, and they just can't get that idea. But here's something. They can't process. But here's the thing as well: it's something that I heard on a panel of conscious panel. If I say a high-powered podcast, she's sickening. She's very smart. She said something that was very interesting. She said, here's the thing when it comes out to psychology of things. Psychology is that you're going to like something based on the five senses that we have. So psych plays a part. It's the same thing as in when you see something, you're either going to get, it's going to stimulate an emotion or hormone, whatever. this is the reason why when it comes down, and she said this, the reason why when you go to like when you see commercials and stuff, the stuff that they use isn't even real. It's not even real food. But however, since it looks like the real food and it looks good, it makes us hungry. It makes like, oh, that look good. I want to buy that. And so that's very interesting. I really did enjoy that she said that. But I just feel like the whole exposing thing and the whole disclosing, I just feel like it was talking points. Let's just call it spade to spade. His homophobia was jumping. It was jumping out, but was trying to jump back in, but was jumping out. It was popping out, baby. It was popping out. Now this is where I know you're gonna have a field day, girl. Now, he talked about basically he was talking about how basically using trans attacks as an example, just in a nutshell. To really, he basically used trans attacks as an example, saying how this is why come on, yes, hydration, because I'm doing the exact same thing. Okay, so he talked about how using trans attacks just about saying this is why things like this happen, is because all this tricking, because all the different type of things going on. But then he got into, because I know you're about to go off, let me put this up too. Yeah. And then he got into the whole thing talking about black men, talking about how they give empathy, but no one gives empathy to them. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Child, okay, this is how I feel about the whole. Okay, and I'm gonna, and I want to be very clear. Everything that I say is based off of my personal experience. There's so many times where I hear black men talk about, nobody's ever empathy for us, and based off of my experiences, I feel like in so many ways that's far from the truth. Because if anything, people are always riding for you. People are always supporting y'all. People are always uplifting y'all. But a lot of y'all in any way aren't doing the same. We could talk about during the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd era, how it was people from all over the world uplifting black men, supporting black men. But let me ask, in most cases, let me go ask a straight black man, hey, we having a rally for black trans women. You think you can come out and march with us? Oh, hell no. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Now it's all of those things. So it's just like, or let me go to a barbershop where it's majority straight people, and let me walk in there with me and my boyfriend. Oh, hell, no, man. It's all faggot this, faggot that. And it's just one of those things where it's like,
Censor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you good.
It's F-bomb this, but then you want to turn around and talk about nobody has empathy for y'all. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, and baby, if it don't apply, let it fly. In a lot of ways, a lot of straight black men want to have the same power as a straight white man. They want that power. They want that privilege. They want that. And it's not all of it. I want to be very clear. It's not all, but it's a lot of them. So it's one of those things where it's like, they always say, well, nobody has empathy for us. But when have you ever just looked back at your life and said, well, did I ever have empathy for the LGBT community? Some of y'all don't even have empathy for the black women that y'all put a ring on or attempt to put a ring on. So it's kind of like, what do you mean by like we don't show empathy for y'all? Literally, there's so many ways where we all come together and uplift you. Let a black man say right now he's been shot because of X, Y, and Z. The entire social media, when it comes to black social media, we go up for that. We donate money. We doing this. We trying to make sure that the family's okay. We protesting. We doing this, that, and the third. But let it be a trans woman who got shot down the street and she died. Oh, well, she shouldn't have been tricking nobody. They shouldn't have been doing this and they should have been doing that. So it's like, where does empathy come from?
Mm-hmm.
For me?
I 100% agree, but in the sense of, okay, I'm gonna do it like this. I agree. I 100% agree with everything. But however, I've gotten to a point to where I realize why that is. As in, for me, I understand that we have been conditioned, us as melanated people have been conditioned to think a certain way when it comes down to queer people. Because keep in mind, for the most part, at least at one point in time, the black community, melanated people, we were very much highly religious, and different books, doctrines, texts informed people of how we were in the world, and that's why now we have a lot of stereotypes, a lot of different types of things, and a lot of the talking points that do come up when it comes down to combating queer people is usually the Bible. But here's the thing, so I'm able to understand, but at the same time still have that frustration, but at the same time I understand. Now, here's the thing, because you mentioned it earlier, because I'm gonna do it while it's on my mind, because I totally forgot to say it. It was very convenient for him, a very convenient shot when heterosexual people, some, not all, doesn't apply, let it fly, warning, conveniently use the Bible or rhetoric that circulates and centers around the Bible for when they have to condemn, disregard, and disrespect queer people in any way. Yep. But yet, in that exact same interview, didn't Benzino say that he was in the agriculture? Didn't Benzino allude that even when he didn't have it like the way that it was, but yet he still wasn't broke, and he kind of alluded to that he still had to make things work. Because the thing about it, if it was 100% legal, you would have just mentioned it. But however, you use code, like it was different codings and stuff. So like it was very convenient when they want to use and don't want to use the Bible and all the different types of things. It was very much convenient. Another thing as well is that it's very convenient that he used the Bible for queer people, but yet it wasn't convenient of him creating all these different type of broken homes as well. Because like you said, you have 4 children, but however, you moved on from all these other women. Now, even though I said that, I don't want to conflate or people thinking that I'm just putting the blame all on him. Because we do have women that do, and they do, you weaponize. But however, last time I checked, you're not living 100% by that Bible as well. So it's real. It was just real convenient that people do that. I'm like, girl, bye. But this whole thing about black men or melanated men having empathy, I think they have been conditioned. I think they have been conditioned to look at us queer people, and they have been conditioned to look at everybody else, black women, as less than. Now, when it comes down to it, it may be conscious or unconscious, but they have been conditioned to do so. From the way that a lot of people have been informed, especially when it comes to trans or even the newer, even though it's not, none of this stuff is new, but the stuff that's being taught about as a non-binary, all different types of things, they have been conditioned to look at us a certain way. So I think they have been conditioned, but at the same time, I'm not using it as no excuse, as in you come with me to a certain level, I may walk away a couple of times, but if it needs to go there, it will go there. So that's how I feel about it at the end of the day. But it was real interesting, because like I was like, are you saying you're not homophobic, but yet you using all the talking points of transphobe, homophobe, but at the same time you also bringing up subjects that didn't have nothing to do with the context of the conversation, and they need to disclose. But I thought you said that you knew that she was trans. So what was it bringing up?
But because he knows at the end of the day, mm-hmm. he can bring up the Bible tactics, and he can mm-hmm. bring up the homophobic and transphobic tactics. It's easy. Once 2 + 2 is no longer making 4, it's I just feel like God made Adam and Eve. Or I feel like a man was born, and another thing about that I hate too. I genuinely want straight people to understand from the bottom of my heart, because you have a lot of women, and not all of them, but you do have a lot of women that feel like this. Trans people are not trying to compete with you. Nobody is in competition with anybody. If a guy, I have plenty of friends who are trans men, and me as a biological man, I don't feel threatened. I don't feel attacked. I don't feel no competitive spirit in any way, because I know who I am. And I need women and men in general to feel that way. When somebody says there's a trans woman, to my beautiful black women, you shouldn't feel like you're in a competition. You feel, oh, she trying to beat me. She's trying to beat me. she's not trying to be like you. She's trying to be herself.
Mm-hmm.
If that version of herself so happens to look like you, then great. But it's just like at the end of the day, and this is what I love what T.S. Madison has always said this. You're right. I'm not a real woman. I'm a trans woman. And so it's like it could never be a competition, because at the end of the day, I have something that you don't have, and you have something that I don't have. So why is there this need of, and it's not all of them, but a lot of them just have this need of like, they feel like it's a competition, or they're trying to be like this, they're trying to be like that. If you are secure in who you are and you love who you are, because see, a lot of people don't love themselves, because when you do love themselves, what other people do outside should not offend you or harm you in either way. Look how they doing Zaya Wade now.
Oh, girl, well, we can talk about that. We can talk about.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. We can most definitely talk about that a little bit, because I have talked about it on my platform. But I'm gonna say this: I was really glad for Kandi being very knowledgeable, very educated, because a lot of times too, some, not all, trigger warning. If it does not apply, let it fly. I'm gonna say this. I feel like a lot of times too, when a lot of heterosexual people, especially those who aren't really educated, or they only have surface level about what the hell they're talking about, when they begin to speak, for people who don't know, they sound like they know what they're talking about. But however, when you actually know what the subject of the matter is, they don't know what they're talking about. Because even with the whole Zaya Wade thing, for example, people kept talking about Zaya because, she had just posted something about her boyfriend. Yeah. And the thing is, people kept talking about her, like, even when I was reading articles, her sexuality. I'm like, that had nothing to do with her sexuality. Like, that has something to do with the gender identity. So that was my thing, and I said this before, is that's the reason why when we have these conversations, we don't even take a lot of y'all serious, only because the simple fact of that's like a white person. They hate when we try to compare the whole race thing. It's two different struggles. We understand it.
Same thing. A struggle is a struggle is a struggle.
Yeah, oppression is oppression. But
oppression is oppression.
Wait. But however, for my sake, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm gonna say this: it's like a white person coming in trying to tell black people or melanated people. I'm trying to get a habit of saying black. Telling melanated people about racism and racist tactics and stuff. But however, you cannot articulate or even clarify or make a distinction between race, nationality, and ethnicity. What does that mean? That means if you don't even know the basics, how are you going to sit up here and try to have a conversation about complex or nuance? Come on, I'm taking a different word. Nuanced conversations. Like that's the reason why. And then not only that, when we give people the information to try to help them at least get to that level of where they can actually be involved and ask their questions, the information that people give, oh, y'all just making up words. No, here's the thing. We understand that these words may seem more new or more modern to you guys, but here's the thing. When you have these conversations a lot, you know these words. When you involve in the conversation or the dialogue, you know about these words. But however, as well, keep in mind too, homophobia, transphobia still exists. So with that being said, a lot of these resources and stuff, we didn't have access to, which means that now, before it was black and white, men, women, male, female, but now we're starting to explore and realize that there's more to the human life and the human experience than just gay, straight, male, female. There's more than that. That's why it may seem new, but however, it's just that the age that we're in the age of discovery. Okay, so that's really how I feel about it, honestly. Because girl, the whole Zaya Wade thing, I was like, girl, y'all don't know. Y'all have no clue what the hell y'all talked about at all. So now his homophobia he was struggling with I'm gonna say not struggling, but yeah, he was struggling because it was like he was doing homophobic tactics, saying homophobic stuff and transphobic stuff. But however, he didn't want the label. It was popping out, but then he would try to bring it back. Oh, but I'm not homophobic. I got gay friends. He was going through all that. Now he said that straight people can't talk like they want. And he says that basically when the LGBT gets power, straight and melanated men lose their voice?
I think what people have to understand, and this is the thing, you have the right to say whatever you want to say. Ooh. But know whatever you want to say comes with a consequence. And that's what people tend to forget. I remember I had to get one of my family members today, and he's a straight Black man, and he says, you know, it's almost like we can't say, it's like nowadays we can't say stuff that we used to say no more. That would be the same, that would be the equivalent to a white person saying, well, it's like nowadays we can't say the N-word no more. You know, we used to say things about Black people and how Black people do this. Now, you know, we just can't do it anymore. You damn right. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. They hate when we say that. They hate when we try to at least attempt it. At least when we try to make the comparison so they can understand the parallels and the similarities. Now, people are not always saying that these are the exact same, but they do have a lot of similarities. Because keep in mind too, oppression is oppression. They all works the same. You got a primary group, you got a secondary group. The primary group runs the system, but however the primary group uses a particular system to oppress the other group. Like it all works the same. But the tactics are very much similar.
They get it. The thing is, when it comes to stuff like that, they don't like making that. They don't like when we bring up the race comparisons because they know it makes sense. Which further proves to me, a lot of these straight people, it's not that they don't understand. It's not that they can't. It's not that they can't process it. It's just that they don't want to.
Ooh.
Well,
I feel like some people, they do come pure and they really do have questions and stuff. And I like those. But however, I will say and I will agree, I've literally have sat down with people, debated them, talked to them, go, you know, and it's just not hitting. But however, at the same time, sometimes it may not hit right then and there. Sometimes it takes time after that. So, you know, girl, I think the whole thing, I guess people also don't realize that people don't call you homophobic or transphobic not because of what you say. It's typically, I'm gonna say this, I'm saying this. Typically, it's the stuff that you either say or do after that. It's I don't believe that you were born a man, or I don't believe that God made a mistake when he said da ba 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 ba. That's why I don't believe you're da 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 da. But yet in the same sentence, don't even bring up the Bible when it comes down to other sins and stuff that has also occurred. Benzino, aren't you the same when I said you had a past and a history? So it's once again, it's very convenient when you bring up doctrine, text, that let's be quite honest, that people don't really people don't believe in it the way
Bible like that. No shade.
They don't believe in it like that. Only reason being because bitches still be eating pork, bitches still be having polyester, cotton, satin. Bitches still be cheating.
And the thing is,
people be getting wait, because right now I'm gonna go. Bitches still be goddamn on their wedding night, not virgins. Oh. People. When women be on their periods, they still be in the same house as their husband, or they be shacking up. Like, come on, like that's the reason why I be like, girl, y'all just. But however, another thing they always say is that you gotta get it's the law of the land, the 10 Commandments. But I'm like, y'all don't even do the 10 Commandments. Y'all talk about having all these kids, but y'all don't take care of them. And another thing about being fruitful and multiply, you gotta make sure that your fruit are also in good tact. So yeah, you can multiply, but however, if you're not taking care of them plants or even the fruit that you produce, what's the point of having it? Like, girl, I'll be over it. But I'm not trying to have that whole little, because girl, that's gonna be a long video. Me and you get on that topic.
If what you're saying is making sense, and if your points are coming from a logical standpoint, you don't have to bring in religion. Mm-hmm. Everything when I'm having an argument or I'm having a debate with somebody and I'm trying to tell them what they're doing is wrong, not one time do I have to bring up what the Bible says. Not one time do I have to bring up religion, because my religion has nothing to do with basic morals. No shade.
And even then, what did that have to do? And I'm thinking about it now. What did that have to do with the context of the conversation? No one ever asked Benzino, at least to my knowledge. I could be wrong. I'm gonna put this up, girl.
Okay.
No one really asked Benzino what he thought about trans people. This stuff like this that lets people know, at least queer people know, that bitch, you hold transphobic views, because that was even a damn question. You just giving out random answers, bitch. The answer is A, B, C, D. Why the fuck are you giving E, F, G? Like, what? We was like, what, bitch? No, that didn't make no sense. So I was like, girl, what? I was so confused. Once again, I was confused because you talking about trans people aren't this, aren't that, and talking about straight black men are losing their voice. Do I believe that sometimes within our community we can overreact, as in try to call someone transphobic or homophobic just because they don't want to have sexual intercourse with somebody who's trans or gay? Yes, that does exist. That does happen.
That exists.
But however, what we're talking about are people who make explicit, either by subtle or explicit ways of showing their dislike, disdain, or hatred for, or fear for, of queer people. Yes, that does. When I say queer people, that does include trans people as well. So that's what we're talking about. Now, you having a personal preference of what you want, of who and what you want to date, that's up to you, player. And I feel like a lot of people not really getting that, because they think that it just comes off as an, oh, you disagree, now you're transphobic. No, we don't. Here's the thing: we don't give a fuck if you agree or disagree.
Right.
It's a lot of conflating, because they think that if you have a difference of opinion or you believe in something different, that makes you homophobic or transphobic. No, it's what you do and say after that point what makes you homophobic and transphobic.
Right.
What people think that just they feel like they need to believe or accept who you are. If you don't do that, that makes you transphobic. No, bitch. It's called respect, bitch. That's what it's called. Like, y'all conflate a lot of things. It's called respect.
Right.
Okay, me personally, I'm gonna speak for me. I'm not asking heterosexual people to believe that trans women are really women. That's your personal belief. I'm not dealing with that. But the thing is that you can still have your personal believe what you want to believe, and you can your moral compass can be all over the place, whatever. But however, what's going to change in your life if you just go by the proper pronouns, or the pronoun in the transphobic ideology, or people who disagree, because some people just disagree and don't. What's going to change by you using the proper pronouns or the pronouns preferred for trans people? You didn't lose no money. You didn't lose no sleep. You didn't get it doesn't cost you anything. You're not getting no arguments. What seems to be the issue? But here's the thing. We don't call people transphobic just because they disagree with certain pronouns or sexual identities or whatever. We call people transphobic because even when trans people even try to meet people halfway, as I said, you know what? You don't even have to say he or she. Call me by my name.
Just call me by my preferred name.
And I've seen this multiple times. Even when, and after this, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm on the roll right now. Even when trans people are like, yo, just call me by my name, people would literally call them trans people he or she on purpose, because they know that's a dog whistle to kind of piss them up and gaslight. So that's why I'll be like, girl, now I'm gonna let you talk, because I've been just talking.
No, I agree with you 110%. I feel like you respecting trans people, it doesn't cost you anything or anyway. You're not gonna go to hell for you calling a trans woman a she. You're not gonna go to hell for calling a trans man a he. It's one of those things where it's like it does, and just like Jason was saying in the comments, we just need respect. We all have to respect everybody. If I decide tomorrow I wanted my pronouns are she, her, hers, it literally takes nothing for you to just say, okay, girl, her pronouns are she, her, and hers, and go on about your business. Because a lot of times straight people in general, they try to make things that really aren't their issues, and then try to dictate how things go. Just simply respect what people want to say. When people tell me my pronouns are they, their, and them, okay, how y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes nothing to just respect somebody. I didn't lose no sleep. I didn't lose no money. My morality was never lost. It didn't put me in a weird space. It didn't make me uncomfortable because I simply I simply just treat people how they want to be treated and go on about their business.
But here's the thing too that I found very funny, very interesting, only because of the simple fact of, even when we get to the conversation of pronouns and stuff, and keep in mind too, I struggle with the non-binary pronouns as in them and they, only because I'm so used to saying them and they. You know what you do? Even if I made, now keep in mind, I've met like one person that was actually binary, but now every person's different. They may use them and they. Some non-binary people don't care if you say he or she. The person I've come across doesn't care if you say he or she. They don't particularly care. But however, for me, I struggle with the they and them. But you know what you do to kind of avoid that? Ask them their name. Like, this is not that hard. But
Call them by their name.
Yeah, I feel like it's also getting used to. I get that. But however, at what point are we gonna keep using? Are you just getting used to, or are you just choosing not to get used to it? Because at the end of the day, because I understand everything's a process, but come on.
Or there's even ways where, even like when you're saying just ask for their name, there's even ways where you could just be like, I know I have a lot of friends who are trans women, and they said before their parents started saying she, her, and hers, they always started by just, oh, hey, boo, old child over there, you know, boo this, sugar this, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's ways for you to, I'm not disrespecting you, you know what I'm saying? If I say, hey, boo, you know, hey, baby, there's ways you can go about it, but it's just like some of them don't even want to put in the effort, and it's just like, well, baby, that's on you.
Yeah, it's a mental thing. They struggle with, I guess, the thought process of it, and then that's a whole different other conversation. That's gonna be too deep, because girl, I already went on a whole tangent on a particular panel or whatever, because I just felt like I'm not gonna get too deep into, because I want to get fouled, like, amped up again. I just felt like the whole thing is, a lot of people, they struggle with the idea of their child coming out a different way. Because keep in mind, this particular way, if you actually think about it and actually have the knowledge, that is not hurting nobody. It's not doing anything bad or anything like that. But of course, bad is very subjective. It's gonna change from person to person, because people look at us and say we ruined the nuclear family, I guess. But here's the thing, is that parents, I feel like in particular, they already have this image of their child and what the expectations of the child is going to be. And I understand that sometimes when the child doesn't end up in that particular expectation, it can be disappointing, and it can be a process, because I've actually heard people say that from family members' perspective, as in when a person transitions, the family has to do, like, just about go through that transition with them as well. And I get that. But the whole thing is that some people, warning, if it does not apply, let it fly. Okay? I just feel like some parents, they'd be so stuck on it and they don't want to get it. But however, as soon as their child ends up God knows where, or their child ends up above with the good Lord, then it's I wish it shoulda, coulda. But the thing is that annoys me is that we're telling you this stuff now. It shouldn't have to get to that point. We're telling you this stuff now.
I know, I agree.
And so I'm gonna be quiet right there, because I get on a whole rampant on that. Okay, so after that, Benzino eventually they begin to talk about DL men, DL culture. What are your thoughts on his? Okay, so yeah, he talked about DL men. I'm gonna be like this. I'm just gonna keep it nice and sweet. They can't say nothing. Well, I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna say they can't say nothing about DL culture. But however, you clown people that are attracted to X, Y, and Z. You clown people that identify as X, Y, and Z. And this is the reason why I kind of get annoyed when we start to have these conversations. Only because the simple fact that we're trying to be politically correct, but yet we know the real conversations that happen. Like, that's the thing. I'll be like, girl, tell the truth. Like, we know Like, we know the real conversations that go on. Like I have been with my uncles, I have been with my cousins, I have been with the men in my life. So I know the real conversations that go on. So let's not sit up and act like, I have no problem with but yet income. But I was gonna say as well, like the whole thing is that you called this homeboy over here, we got mad at him, the F-bomb, and all these different types of things. Like, come on. And then on top of that, we talk about people that we presume or we think are gay in the family as a saying, okay, you see him, he might be a little feminine. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, let's just cut it out. Like, let's just have the real conversation and just admit it. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Right. And it goes back to, like I always said, if you would just respect, because when it comes to a lot of like, I was in the closet for a while.
Yes.
I didn't come out the closet until I got to college. And people always say, well, why it took you so long for you to come out the closet? Why would I come out the closet to have you straight people talk down on me? Always got some slick ass stuff to come out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You degrade me. Now all of a sudden I'm being treated. Nobody's going to come out and put themselves in a situation where they know right then and there they're going to be mistreated. So maybe instead of being worried about who's in the closet and who's not, maybe people should just be worried about, okay, how am I treating people? Am I treating this person right? Does this person do X, Y, and Z? So I'm at a barbershop. Somebody made a homophobic comment. Am I going to sit there and laugh with them, or am I going to tell that person, hey, chill out, that ain't cool. We mess with gay people. We cool with gay. You ain't going to do none of those things. And then you wonder why people are still in the closet. Everything that you want in this world starts in those four walls that you call your home.
And to be quite honest, the most usually some, not all, once again, warning, does not apply, let it fly. Typically from a lot of people that I have experienced as in talking to them about their experience growing up, typically the first bully that they meet or bullying that happens when it gets down to queer people, there's usually their own family. Yeah. They usually experience it through verbal abuse, physical. As we've seen the little boy that was, I guess he was doing some quote unquote gay stuff, and so they like shaved his head, hitting him on
Nigel Shelby was 14 and his daddy shot him.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's a whole different conversation, girl. It'd be a lot, but like I just feel like we cannot talk, and that's the thing too. Let me just calm it down because I'm about to get really pumped up. The thing is that I feel like I have no problem, and this even goes for like the disclose and all these different types of things. I have no problem talking about the real issues. I have no problem talking about having a conversation, but it only seems that they only want to have the conversation that where we only have to take accountability for the things that happen. But yet it's never a conversation of the experiences that we experience. They never want to talk about the conversations of the trauma that we have experienced, because it's always dismissive, as in everybody has trauma. Yes, everybody has trauma, but however, the context of this conversation, I have trauma for that. So let's talk about that. So however, when we talk about you and what you dealt with being as a black man, then we can talk about your trauma. Like it keeps in context of the conversation that we have. Like, I wasn't understanding, like, dirt. And I just get annoyed because we never really want to have the real conversations. Like, it gets so annoying because I'm like, we sit up here acting, and the thing about it is that we sit up here, we try to have these intellectual conversations. Cool. But as soon as you press that exit button, you going back to what you're doing and you're not telling the full truth. That's why I get annoyed with them.
Right.
So Benzino also mentioned that he gonna sue everybody. And the first thing that happened that came to my head, I was like, oh, come on, Cardi B, Tasha K. And then as soon as, no, it was funny because as soon as I said that actually in my mind, and I kind of said it out loud too, he mentioned Tasha K. I was like, oh, girl. That was a key to me. Because
honey, everything we said in this video is alleged. Okay.
No. That's not alleged. He actually mentioned. I heard him say that. I was like, oh. As soon as I thought it, he said, I was like, oh, girl. That ain't alleged. I'm not putting it up for that. I heard that in that video. It's up there. But can't he even sue them? Like, well, he probably can in a sense because they have to prove that. Well, I guess in a sense, because they actually have to prove that they were actually in a relationship for real, for real. So I guess probably can prove that. I don't know.
So
now let's get to the last little bit. Then we're gonna end this because girl, I'm trying not to have these videos too long. I'm trying to allow people to actually watch this. Okay. So we're gonna talk about 50 Cent. Him and 50 Cent kind of got into the back and forth whole thing that's going on. I believe on IG.
I think it was
IG. They were going back and forth. Now here's the thing. Because 50 Cent has done the same thing. And now 50 Cent's a troll, but he has done the same thing to Young Buck. He's done the same thing to Benzino. He's a big giant troll. Also, as well, with that whole beef, they did talk about Benzino having fake profile, and it was fake. It was like had fake posts on IG, and it was a lot going on. I was confused. I had just found that out. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but the whole thing with 50 Cent, I'm like, I understand we talk about us being acceptable, but this is another case of how DL men are created. As in 50, you sitting up here trolling somebody on sexual orientation, but then we will sit up here. Now keep in mind, I'm talking about melanated people. We having a melanated conversation, but we will sit up here and talk about how people don't care and all the different types of things. And I know too, like a lot of people, that's not really a big thing as in weaponizing sexuality. But however, you do understand we create environments that make people want to be DL. Like that's, girl, I'll be like,
because even with that situation like that, you create, what happens is when you have people that when they thought about coming out of the closet or when they thought about being themselves, it's conversations that happen like that with 50 Cent and Benzino, and they put themselves right back in the closet because a lot of times what's offensive, it's not even the post, it be the comments. Sometimes the comments be worse than the damn post. So it's kind of like, well, at that point, who would want to come out the closet at that point? But then y'all wonder why you got download people all over. But then you wonder why you have trans women who not outright upfront with y'all. It's like
because we understand this, because trans women understand the psychology. Now I'm not gonna lie, some trans women do out here be doing I'm not gonna lie. I seen a video of a trans woman apparently tricked the dude, and I felt so bad because I was mad at her because I'm like, why would you put yourself in that position? Right. Already knowing the psychology of these niggas, already knowing that these niggas they not all the way there. So which means that they are liable to do something hurtful to you. Agreed. Then on top of that, then justify it by saying that you tricked them. And then not only that, having homophobes and transphobes support them in the end. So I was like, girl, I was kind of irritated with her only because of the fact of, based on what the video, what I understood from the video, I was like, I don't know why would you do that, because you're putting yourself in,
and you push us back
in that situation to a certain degree, because at the end of the day, no one's telling you to put your hands on anybody, but to a certain degree, you put yourself in that situation. But however, let me say this. Let me just read some more comments. Okay, so I find it amazing that they complain about it, but yet they're the ones that exactly, and that's right. My point exactly, because I'm like, you can't get mad. And I always say this too. Let me say this because I will forget. Is that I tell people, for those who don't like DL men, here's the thing: what that law of attraction, what you put out there is what you get back. As in, when you are a homophobe or a transphobe, somewhere along the lines, especially in, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm about to tap on the shoulders of black women, because they're usually the ones that usually have more of an issue when it comes to the DL epidemic, because mostly men like their women being bisexual. Not saying there aren't any exceptions, but mostly men are more acceptable to that. But however, when it comes down to women, since we have a black conversation, melanated women dealing with DL men, here's the thing: when you are homophobic or transphobic, you're not creating that safe space for somebody that you find interesting. They find you interesting as well, and you're trying to cut off. Because keep in mind, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation is just about the core of somebody. So if you try to cut any of those things off, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be a safe space. You're gonna attract DL men, just so you know. Especially if you have this whole idea of gay people this, gay people that, you're gonna attract DL men. And keep in mind, you're attracting a person that's gonna lie to you. you're attracted up. Because keep in mind too, if they're not telling you the truth about these other hoes, what the hell make you think they're gonna tell you the truth about another nigga? Like that don't make no sense to me. It really does not make no sense to me. But however, I tell my women this is because another thing too is that there seems to be like a biphobia that happens as well, as in they don't want people being bisexual,
Right.
both heterosexual and queer community as well. But here's the thing. Typically, I think there's a lot of stigma surrounding bisexual people. Reason being is because people, when they usually think of bisexual, they think of infidelity. And that's the thing. I'm like, or they also think of cheating. But here's the thing about it. The same way that you go through this world and you find other people attractive on any type of note, and you decide, and you guys have a consensus that this is a mono relationship, and no matter who I find attractive, I'm going to keep my dick on my pussy in my pants, and my mouth to myself, and my hands to myself, then that should be the agreement, not whether or not the person is attracted to this and that. Because the same way that you feel like they're making sacrifices to not fight urges that they have for other people, you're doing the exact same thing. As in, when you find another attractive man going down the street, that vagina stay in his pants and it stay, and now it may get a little wet, but you ain't doing nothing to stimulate that. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. So I think it's a lot. It's a lot that comes down with this. It really is a lot. Now I'm trying to keep it short, but girl, it's just a lot. Now, last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna shut up and go in this video. I found it very interesting how throughout the video, throughout the interview, and then I said this earlier, I kind of hinted towards it earlier, is that he wasn't even defending the relationship or interaction that he had with Shauna. For surface level, it seemed like that. It wasn't even that. He was defending his manhood.
Yeah, I know.
Which was stimulated from the backlash that he received. Be quite honest, because the reason why I say he wasn't even defending the whole thing with Shauna, yeah, for surface level, yes, but it wasn't that, because at the end of the day, if that was the case, he never would have even, from his story, he never would have even been open to having a conversation with Shauna. He never would have been had no issue with being on the phone with Shauna if having a relationship with Shauna was the big issue. It was the backlash, and it was his manhood or his idea of manhood he wanted to defend.
I agree.
And so this is another thing of how certain ideas can contribute to transphobia and homophobia. The idea that a person is attracted to a trans woman makes you less than a man, or it assaults your manhood. It's how someone can be attracted to the same sex and it assaults your manhood, or it's looked at as less than. So I think it was just a lot of things I was noticing in this conversation or this interview, and I was like, girl, you can't, like, I understand you may not think you're a homophobe or transphobe, but them ideas are still there and it still circulates your mind. But what are your closing remarks, your thoughts, anything like that?
I agree with everything you said 110%. Listen, I'm always gonna ride for my LGBT community, and listen, my Black people, I'm always gonna ride for y'all. But in order for us to bridge the gap, in order for the Black community and the LGBT community to get to a common ground, we got to start having conversations like this. And I know it's going to fly over some people's head. I didn't say every bunch of apples. It's going to be a few rotten ones, but you know what? We have to keep the conversation going.
Well, that is it for the video for today, guys. Give out your name, your platform. Once again, because you have newer people that came into the live, to the stream. Let the people know where they can find you. Instagram, Twitter. What's the gig?
So again, my name is McCully. You can go on my Instagram is I am McCully. My Twitter is I am McCully. My music, we are verified on Vivo, Tidal, Spotify. You type in McCully, all those links and everything will pop up. I also have a YouTube channel where we react to music videos. It's called Mickey Reacts, Mickey Reacts. If you type in hashtag Mickey Reacts, all of those things will pop up. And that's where you'll find me. And I'm very much single. So, I'm just playing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so very much. Now, keep in mind, he will always be on this particular live. He will always be on this particular
Okay.
platform because we have some more conversations that need to be had. But however, I'm gonna do everything in timing, and we're gonna have some more conversations. So it was nice having you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna see you later. All righty, deuces. All righty. So that is it for today, guys. Now, keep in mind, now when I first started this live, I had pressed my intro, but however, my computer had froze. So we're gonna see if that's gonna happen again. I know it's not gonna happen again, but we're gonna see if it happens again. I really do appreciate it. But however, that is it for my video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so you do not miss any more posts from me. Another thing I do want to say as well is that down below, if you guys, because I need to start promoting this more, but if you guys would love to give a donation, if you guys really want to support me, do it at the kindness of your heart, not because I'm over here promoting it. Do, of course, do it at the kindness of your heart. And I really do appreciate you guys. And keep in mind, too, because I do want to make this clear, because I literally just said that statement. Support does not always mean financial. Support means that you come into a live and pressing the like button, or even a dislike button, because shit, any publicity is good publicity. Well, I don't believe that, but girl, you know what they say. But this thing, just because you're coming into a live, for one, in your own, for your own sake, your own free will. Two, you don't have to be here. So which means that you made an executive decision to be here. So support doesn't always mean always have to give out funds or give out money or anything like that. Now, for the people who have, and I do want to thank my Cash App, because the people who have donated towards me, I have got some more equipment and stuff. But however, I've had an issue with, which is why this mic is working so lovely. I really do appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I really do appreciate it. And also at the same time, I do want to let people know that the people that have donated to me, that your money is being used in purposes of upgrading and uplifting my platform and my aesthetic. Okay. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys. And at the same time, if you guys have not pressed that like button, please press it. I really appreciate it. So with that being said, I'm gonna say my thing again. That is it for my video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any more posts from me. And I don't know if you're still in here, Mile. If you are or aren't, please make sure that you subscribe. Please make sure you subscribe. Thank you so very much. And with that being said, guys, I will see you later. Now, hopefully I get this intro together, because, girl, last time I pressed it, it came right back on. Deuces.